Hey everyone, I'm Nato King, and this is Eryi's Action, EX mode. I'm finally gonna take it on. Of course, I made my first attempt the same day that I finished the recording for the normal mode. It didn't go so well. EX mode is a little more difficult, as I'll let this message box explain. You're limited to 30 lives, which is pretty much the hardest part of the mode, and when it says a bit more difficult, it's a bit more difficult. I'll show you what I mean as we go along. Mostly going through the stages highlighting the differences, but the big difference is all the text has changed. So all the hint boxes now display stuff like this. Otherwise, the first level is pretty much as you remember it. One big difference is you need to bring this first sprinkler along with you. I'm pretty sure that one is Croco talking. Or I guess we should call him Tyranno. And I think that flower there is new in EX mode. Certainly wasn't there in normal mode. It's just a tiny taste of how things are different. Most of the changes are subtle, but they all make things more difficult. For example, don't hit that checkpoint, whatever you do. Because if you do die at this part coming up, you'll be stuck here. This obviously is a message from the frog. So here's the first major difference. The blocks that I used to use to get over the windmill are gone. So you have to use the sprinkler. As you can see, I'm terrible at it. So let's try this again. And wonderful. Not like I needed that. Oh, that's alright, I've got the sprinkler, I'll just go up and get... Whoa, whoa! Okay, there's that going through the wall glitch in the wild. And the windmill is that easy to get over. I just suck. So, not much else has changed in the rest of the level. But I really, really don't want to think about this particular message too much. Bye, bear. So on to level 2. The first part of the level pretty much the same as before. I think the birds get shot out of this pot a lot faster in this mode. And there's also flowers. So coming up is a spike trap, which I triggered by throwing the bird into it in the normal mode video. In EX mode, you have to do it that way. And here's a comparison for you. We'll see normal mode on the top, EX mode on the bottom. Did you catch it? Let's see it again in slow-mo. Frame by frame, and here you can really see the difference. Those couple of extra frames mean the difference between being able to turn back and dying as soon as you set off the trap. So moving on to the end, the green mushroom is gone, as I mentioned before. That's the only difference to the end of the level. Also, the gems don't appear. So, let's just move on to the boss fight, shall we? And for some reason in EX mode, he actually gives you a hint on how to beat him. Not that I really need it, because I had to beat him in normal mode, and not much has changed about the fight, but, again, subtle changes that make things a lot harder. Now he breathes a fireball on his first pass. Other than that, more or less the same fight. I think the spikes might be in slightly different positions, where on the first pass, if you just cram yourself into the corner, you'll still get hit. But that might have happened in normal mode as well. I never actually just pressed myself into the corner and tried to dodge them. Okay, last wave of spikes, and then we'll see the part of the fight that's actually difficult this time. He shoots a burst of 5 fireballs on his final pass. But I still managed to take him down without too much trouble. And yeah, he does say something else if you return to him, but I don't want to waste a life on it. Level 4 is more difficult because the fish are a lot more aggressive. But I managed to squeak by without too much trouble there, and we got another message box. I think this one is the fisherman in level 7 that nobody really pays much attention to. And now, past the second wave of fish, and you can see they all just come at me almost no matter how far I am away from them. And I know there's one coming up behind me, but I still gotta wait for that fish to go down as far as I can before attempting to move on. I think the currents might be in slightly different places, but the important ones are still where they belong. So not much else has changed in the level until we get to the end, where the frog walks significantly faster. If your timing wasn't perfect in the normal mode, it's gonna have to be here. I don't think there are actually any changes in Stage 5, so we'll go right on to the next boss. I don't know what STG refers to. I want to say that's the shooting thing, but no clue. And yeah, I hate you because you've got the hardest stage. That's exactly it. But actually, this stage is the one that usually gives me the most trouble. You can see that still moves a lot faster in this difficulty. And that I'm still a complete moron. Now, if you take the lower path like I did in the normal mode video, aside from the danger of getting spiked, it does allow you to go through the first part of the level a lot faster. Which is really going to help, because in this difficulty, him catching up to you is dangerous. And I think those fireballs move a lot faster in this difficulty. But most of the stage is almost identical. Still not a problem if you cheese it the way I do. Otherwise, you've really got to book it. In Stage 7, another one with very few changes that actually matter to anything. But I figured I would show you the approved method for getting past the igloo. Makes things much easier. And another message block. This one seems to be about the fisherman in this level. I don't know who's saying it. Farda, probably. This part, again, another tiny change in that the birds move a lot faster. So the timing is slightly tighter. I still managed to pull it off. And at the end of the level, another slight change. There was a block here that used to have a bird in it. Now it's gone, but I don't need it. And we move on to level 8, the fortress. I think this line is Eryi, but I don't know for sure. And here's another very, very big change that makes the game a lot more difficult. There's only one block here, which means your timing has to be spot on. And then I go and destroy the block. Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with this part. Yeah, momentum is a pretty big thing too. So let's just skip ahead to where something interesting happens. By which I mean we'll cut out the deaths and get right to where I get beyond this part. So here's the screen that you ironically won't see unless you're pretty good at the game over screen. It does exist. So I took a while off, recollected my thoughts, practiced level 8 a bit, and then came back for a second attempt, which I didn't hit record until I got back to where I was before. So here are the amusing deaths that happened during that run, recreated in normal mode. You're not losing anything from the difficulty change, I assure you. The things you're still discovering about the game. So let's see how my practice has paid off, shall we? That part was a lot easier than it looked the first time. And right up here, yet another message block. This one has got to be Eryi. Unless it was someone else that Eryi stole the melon from in the first place, but beats me. See, Eryi even refers to Eryi herself as a melon. But what about the fight? How is that different in this mode? It's not. You do exactly the same things in exactly the same order. You win in exactly the same way. Which is good. I can't imagine what would happen if you had to figure out a new path to victory. And your cute level increases by 3 points. So what? On to Farda's Tower. And yet another message block. There are actually quite a few of them in this level. I'm really glad Farda doesn't come with any of those things. Now this room, I believe the spikes coming in from the left move a little bit faster in this version. It's really hard to tell, but if you watch as I get to the end here, I'm climbing up and barely make it off the screen before they hit me. And then the underwater room. Aside from my incompetence, this room is a lot tougher because the fish are so much more aggressive. If you let the bar go around once, that fish just completely blocks your way. And even if you do manage to get past, now the fish on the top path is in my way. So the timing here is really, really tricky. And you pretty much just have to lure the fish to swim off in the wrong direction. So this is the way that usually works for me. Just zip past that fish at the last second, and hit this switch a bit earlier so that I've got enough room to squeeze by the upper fish on the right, lure it to swim in some random direction, and then book it for the exit. In the invisible room, once again, I sacrifice a life for... I don't know what. I'm guessing that was Eryi again. I don't want to think about it. And the final message block of the game... Tiku tells us all the things he forgot to put into this game. Oh well, maybe in Eryi's Action 2. So let's just move on and see how the final boss is changed in EX difficulty. Oh, she's wearing a different outfit. It was like a purple or brown kind of thing before, and now it's all pink. See, this is why I think Eryi's got a kind of perverted side to him. Although, it could just be that he's got this thing rigged to explode. But I wasn't intending to hit the jump button that many times. Alright, now I know this is going to be more difficult, I just don't know how it's going to be more difficult. Alright, a lot more fireballs. Still not too difficult to dodge. And now the blue ones. Whoa, those are filling up the screen. Okay, I honestly have no idea how I'm gonna dodge that. But here goes. Get to the top of the screen, duck to the left, bottom, and barely squeeze through. Alright. Now the rest of the pattern should be pretty familiar. She'll use the same colored fireballs at the same time, just maybe shooting them in different patterns. This one's familiar. And that's a lot of yellow fireballs. Very... Okay. Gotta concentrate on what I'm doing here. She just pinned me against the side of the screen with those. Alright, squeeze between the rows of fireballs. Get in some shots. This looks nice and easy to dodge, at least. And now the red ones again. And she shoots the blue ones in the center. I am screwed. Okay, can I squeeze past him? No. I cannot. Okay, I don't know how I managed to dodge that, but finally I get to move on and see more of what she does. Another swoop. And... wow. That's a ton of fireballs. And I didn't have a whole lot of lives to start with. So, moving on. A couple days later, I gave it another try and actually captured the whole thing this time. So you missed nothing. Devious. And here's one that I missed my first time through, or I would have shown you. But that's alright, I got enough lives. I think I can afford to sacrifice one now. One more message block I didn't hit before, and exactly what I was expecting, but at least now we know. So, I make it back up to the boss. I've got plenty of lives this time. Can I figure out how to negotiate those stupid blue fireballs and manage not to screw up at any of the other patterns? Now, who the heck do you think I am? Now, I think the strategy I eventually ended up settling on is luring her to shoot at, say, the top of the screen, and then darting down to the bottom right and dodging them there. Seems to work a heck of a lot better. And when she's shooting the orange fireballs, you really gotta try to lure her over to one side or the other. Tricky to time, but if you manage to pull it off, it makes the rest of the fight much easier. By which I mean, you may actually survive. So, I finally managed to find a gap, squeeze through, and continue for the fight. And now I know, there's fireballs going everywhere, and she just gets right up in my face and hits me with one. Okay, it is time to master the slick dodge. That was a terrible way to get through the fireballs, but if you survive, it works. Actually, it's kind of the way I play both Demon Souls and Dark Souls. Just keep throwing myself at the same obstacle over and over again, change nothing, squeeze through the gaps, and if I survive, I get to move on with the game. No questions asked. Here, I lose all my progress every time my lives counter goes back down to 0. And once again, nowhere to go. So let's try luring her to the top. Finding a gap to live in. And the hardest part about that is making your way back to the left so you can dodge the pink fireballs. If you're caught on the right side of the screen through those, boy are you in trouble. And I got lucked out here. She's got enough health, she's using her first pattern for each type of fireball. And somewhere in the middle of this round, she changes patterns suddenly. That's usually the hardest part to dodge right there. Get through the ring okay, she's still using her second pattern of orange fireballs. There's a third one, it's really tough, and I blow it once again. So it's the final, last-ditch attempt to not have to play through the entire first 10 levels again. Can I do it? It's a good sign so far. No looking at the video title and trying to guess. Okay, so far so good. Second round of blue fireballs coming up. Wrong place, wrong time. So that was my third attempt. Next time, fourth attempt and beyond. But until then, here's a couple of neat things I discovered you can do with sprinklers. I don't know why you would ever want to do these, or why you would ever think of doing them, but they can be done, and that's awesome. The other one is actually a much easier way to get the gem in this level, admittedly. You can use the sprinkler to get up there, and then freeze the pond, run across to the ice block, and I think you can throw the sprinkler on that block over there to get you over to the far side, but if you don't... So, a little preview of the final video. More stupidity! Farta finally goes down. What's this? The true final boss appears. Can I beat it? What do you think? See you next time.